Thanks for waking up with us.
How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Staying Focused for Jesus. I hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ. Some of you are familiar with this, some of you are not, but we're going to look into some things that you may not be aware of and make some connections so we can see even more what's really going on. Y'all know this is stuff I've been preaching for years. I've talked about this before, got videos on it, showing you that these are the things that they were doing, some of the more sinister things that they were and are doing, and that these things would start to come to pass where you start seeing it in the public. And lo and behold, we have that going on. So, you know, this is right up my alley in regards to a lot of the stuff that I preach about, tying into the mark of the beast, DNA manipulation, and those type of things. U.S. surgeons successfully test pig kidney transplant in human patient. For the first time, today is October 24th, 2021. October 24th, 2021. Want to make sure I date stamp my video. You know, I said I was going to start doing that more and more. For the first time, a pig kidney has been transplanted into a human without triggering immediate rejection by the recipient's immune system, a potentially major advance that could eventually help alleviate a dire shortage of human organs for transplant. Well, one of the reasons that there's a dire shortage for human organs is because of what they're doing with the organs on the black market. What they're doing in regards to putting the organs in the food and stuff like that. Another thing that they're doing, these experiments and everything that they're not telling the people. Excuse me. So off the muscle, we already see that they have to do something to make it take into the human immune system, mankind's immune system. Because there's something in us that when they try to do these different things, it knows to reject it. It knows to reject it. Now, how does your immune system know to reject something foreign? How does your immune system know to reject this pig kidney? But they tell you, you know, the Big Bang and everything. And if it is the Big Bang, then it's because God said. His voice is booming. And then there's something in the pig that also rejects. So there's something in the pig, there's something in mankind, there's something in the chicken, there's something in the frog, there's something in everything that says no, we're not going to allow these two things to be mixed because it's the mixing of strange flesh. The very same thing they were doing back in the days of Noah. Mixing stuff that they were not supposed to be mixing. And Christ told us, as in the days of Lot, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the days of the Son of Man. The days of the Son of Man. Meaning that when the days get closer and closer in regards to Christ coming in his physical body, the very same things that were going on in the days of Noah and in the days of Lot, we know what they were doing in the days of Lot. But let's address that real fast. In the days of Noah and the days of Lot will be going on. Both things that were going on that those time periods were known for will be going on at the same time. That's the significance of that scripture. What was going on in the days of Noah? DNA manipulation, and also we know sexual immorality. But we know Noah is marked by the wickedness. All flesh was corrupt. Everything was going on. But more specifically, that DNA manipulation. And in the days of Lot, specifically, we know it's sexual immorality. Sodom and Gomorrah. The mixing of flesh that's not supposed to be mixed. They were so perverted that they wanted to sleep with the angels that came in the form of men. And if you read the context of it, it's saying that they want to have a gangbang on them. They want to take those men back in the shed like some of the slave masters used to do and have some fun with them. It was so bad in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is the interesting thing. I'm going to tell you the interesting thing about that. It was so bad in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah that they wanted to have a gangbang on the angels who were men. When they showed up to his house coming to beat the door down, he said, hey, take my 2 virgin daughters and have your way with them. It got to be bad where you're going to give your daughters up to protect them. And they said, we don't want them. Bring the men out that we saw so we can have our way with them pretty much. Because the men, the angels that came in the form of men, they said something to him when they was on the streets. And then he was like, hey, no, you can't be out here like this. No, sir, you must don't know. You don't know. You can't be out here like this. And so the men had heard what's going on, and these angels, they were good looking, obviously, because these men were supernaturally attracted to them, that they wanted to have their way with them. They knew that something special was about them. They just didn't know they were angels. When they was on the street, when they first came in the city, they said something to them, meaning the angels that came in the form of men. And these sodomite men, they didn't like that. But they were also attracted to him. So they're like, hey, we know where they at. Let's go correct it. Let's go teach them. And we see the same thing going on today. Some people know what's going on with the whole Dave Chappelle thing. The point that Dave Chappelle is making is you can't say nothing against these people. They're offended by everything. You fart, they're offended. You take a piss as a man, you say I'm a man, I stand up and I take a piss. When I do piss, they're offended. You roar like a lion, like a man, they are offended. They're offended by everything. But it's okay when Dave Chappelle was making all these jokes and all this money off of black people. About black people and the different things that we go through. It was cool then. But now, oh, you talking about the LGBTQ, LMNOP, XYZ. It's a problem. That's the point that Dave Chappelle is making. And we see that. You can't say nothing to me. Y'all can't say nothing. I don't care. They're going to do is shut me down. We're going to shut your YouTube down. Okay. I'll just go get on another platform. Hello. So that's going on today. And the interesting thing about all that is this. Christ said that it would be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah than for, at that particular point in time, that wicked generation that he was dealing with, but every generation after that. Because every generation after that, it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So I wanted to paint that picture for you so you can understand how bad it was in the days of Noah. And Christ is saying that in the last days it was going to be worse than what they were doing back then. And that's saying something. How the scriptures tell us how bad it was in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah for God to do what he did. And then the scriptures tell us that in these days that we're living in, it will be worse than the days of Sodom and Gomorrah and the days of Noah combined. Which is why the judgment is so harsh. And it's not that you have all this wickedness going on per se. It's that you have all this wickedness going on in spite of God's grace at the same time. Because the knowledge has been increased. The wisdom has been increased. The understanding has been increased. But they're not taking the knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding and using it in a righteous way. The knowledge and the wisdom and understanding that they are now messing with, they're seeing that it's spiritual. They understand that 100%. They see God's signature on all of it. But they're doing everything they can do to avoid God. God is an artist. He's a painter. And what do artists do? They put their name on stuff. Do you know what a Bugatti is? Most people do. But do you know about the name Bugatti? Bugatti is a family. He put his name on his product. Johnson & Johnson is a family. They have their names on their products. That's their signature, their name. Honda, Lamborghini, Ferrari. We go down the list. Pagani, Koenigsegg. That's their signature, their name. Clothing lines, Sean John, Rockaware, Fubu. We go down the list. Chanel, Gucci, Prada. These are all brands named after what? After a family. So that's their signature on their brand, on their art. So God has his signature because he's an artist on everything that's his. He not only has a signature, but he has a copyright on it. Copyright and a trademark. And there are universal laws. Hey, this doesn't belong to you, so you don't have the authority to change it. The procedure done at NYU Langone Health in New York City involved use of a pig whose genes had been, you see it, altered so that its tissues no longer contain a molecule known to trigger almost immediate rejection. What did it say? Almost immediately it rejected it if you just do it naturally. So what had to do? They had to go in and alter it to force stuff that doesn't naturally go together. So it is unnatural. The same thing the book of Romans talks about. A man taking something that naturally goes into a woman and sticking it somewhere it doesn't belong with another man. That is unnatural. Strange flesh. You have strange flesh, which means you create strange disease. HIV was created in the lab. No, HIV was taken forth from mankind. And then it was weaponized in the way that it is today. And then put back into the population as something worse than what it originally was. Most diseases come forth from mankind. Because we're the ones bringing it forth because of our sin. God sends it in the spiritual, and then it spreads through the blood. Blood touches blood, and sin breaks out. Because everything that is physical, first and foremost, is spiritual. You ever had lust for somebody? You know, back in the day when you were doing stuff, you had no business, and you was talking to this PYT, or you were talking to this man. Y'all was sitting next to each other, whatever, and the sexual tension was so strong, the lust was so strong, you could feel it in your gut, you could taste it. Now, how in the world can you taste lust? Some of you know what I'm talking about. I remember I was talking to this chick. She used to talk to my homeboy. My homeboy stopped talking to her. You know, these are just the rules. Some of you like, oh, how you want to talk to one of your homeboys, girls or whatever? If you don't understand the rules, and you don't understand the rules. He was trying to get rid of her or whatever. I thought she was pretty cool. But we was boys. My childhood friend. We grew up together, so we understood the rules. Hey, if she is your main, she pretty much off limits. But if she ain't, it's fair game. And that's how we would do sometimes. If he got tired of a female, hey, I need you to talk to this chick and introduce you or whatever, act like you met her or whatever, blase blase. She gonna be here. I'm gonna call down to the shop, and you know what I'm saying, you get talking to her. You know, I'm just tired of dealing with her. I got you. So I would end up doing that for him, and then I end up talking to the females, and you know, I was just a little bit different. I was like, man, they cool. And he would try to figure out, like, what did he miss? Because now our relationship is cool, whatever, and he's trying to figure out, like, dang, did I miss out on something? You know, I had to explain to him a few things or whatever, but that's just how we got down. So he had this one chick. Oh, she was bad. Bad. And they say thick as all outdoors. He was talking to her, got tired of her, whatever. They stopped talking. I ran into her, but she had a friend. He wanted to talk to the friend, but I was talking to the friend. That's how it went down. The friend that I was talking to, that's who he wanted to talk to. And the one that he was talking to was the one that I wanted to talk to. But the one that he was talking to wanted to talk to him. And the one that was talking to me wanted to talk to me. But we wanted to swap. So we couldn't figure out how to swap. We tried, but it didn't work out. So he ended up talking to the chick that he was talking to, whatever. And I talked to the other chick for a little bit. I don't know, whatever happened. They stopped talking. They fell out. I ran into the chick later. And she was like, yeah, me and Kelvin, it didn't work out. Blah, blah, blah. He was crazy. And this and that, blah, blah, blah. And, we had ended up exchanging numbers. So, I told him. He knew what was up. But sometimes jealousy sets in. So, we talking and everything. I told her, I was like, look. I said, that's my boy. You trying to play both sides. I don't know what you got going on. That's not going to come between our friendship because we already know what's up. So I let her know from the jump, like, if you trying something, it's not going to work. She was like, no, I'm done, blase, blase. But she was still kind of like talking to him on the side. And he found out that I was, talking to her and stuff. But he already told me, like, hey, I don't really want to fool with her. And this was probably months after when I ran into her. And she just happened to be in the neighborhood where my dad stayed at. But I let him know, like, look, ran into her, blase, blase. He was cool with it. Or at least I thought. So we end up talking, and I had an event to go to. And I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go. It was an event for my dad. And it was two females I was talking to at the time. The one chick I was telling you about and another chick. I was trying to decide who I was going to take. So the other chick that my homeboy used to talk to asked her if she want to go. She said, yeah, but I ain't got nothing to wear, this and that, this and that. I'm like, don't worry about all that. You go to the mall, find you something to wear, and I pay for it. I think the dress she got was like maybe $40 or $50. Then she bought it, and then I gave her the money back. I can't really remember, but I remember offering to buy the dress. I'm like, look, I want you to go. She got the dress on. Like I said, she thick as all outdoors, and thick in the right way. She wasn't like fat and sloppy with it. Y'all get my point. We get to the event, sitting next to each other and everything, and the sexual tension is through the roof, through the heavens, where you could taste it. She knew, I knew, we knew. We didn't already have sex, pretty much. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You can have sex with somebody just by looking at them, if you know what you're doing, because the sexual tension can get that tense, build up. When I say when it gets to a point you can literally taste it, what happens then is manifested. That's the point I'm trying to make to you and show you. Some of you know this, but some people don't. So I need to say this so if they go through it or they experience it, they know what's going on and how to handle it from the spirit of righteousness. It can get so bad where you can taste it. You can feel it bubbling up. That's why Christ spoke about when the spirit is in you, righteousness would flow from you like a river. But when you have that unrighteousness in you, then it's like a pot that's boiling with a whole bunch of stuff that ain't supposed to be in there. And what happens when a pot boils and boils and it's at the top? It's too full. It overflows. But to make a long story short, I didn't end up sleeping with her. Even though I had kind of like already did in my spirit. We went to Waffle House after the event. And I don't know how my homeboy found out. Maybe somebody told him or whatever. But he showed up and she played crazy. And he played crazy like, oh, okay. I'm like, dude, what you talking about, man? You already know. Like, don't play. But she was like, oh no, it's not what you think. This and that. I'm like, oh, for real? So I'm like, you know what? I said, y'all got it. I said, y'all cool? Y'all cool? I'm out, man. I ain't got time for all this. So I dipped to the house. I hit up my homeboy after the fact. I like, yeah, man, what happened, man? You kind of like showed out. Like, bro, you already knew what was up. Yeah, man, blase, blase. But I already kind of like sense, like he was jealous. Probably my boy, though. But you know how it goes sometimes. And I think it was that same night they got into a big argument and he played it. He played it good. He ended up sleeping with her. Using that like, oh man, you talking to my homeboy, blase, blase. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how the conversation went, but I know that he finessed the situation and she ended up giving him some. And I think the next day or whatever, she was down at the shop and I showed up and it was kind of like tense. I'm like, what y'all tense for? Like everything cool. We already know what it is, but he got to play his part and everything. She don't know, like, hey, I just talked to him. And I told her, hey man, you owe me one. I was like, how you did that was messed up. He's like, yeah, man, I got you. I got another chick and everything, blase, blase. But he used me and used that situation to end up getting the draws from her because he didn't want me to get it. Now the chick had already wanted me. But when he was talking to her before, I was like, no, I ain't doing that. Cause we was all going out. I'm not saying I'm gonna make the story short, but I gotta tell the details and stuff. So y'all can understand. When he was first talking to her, we was going out to the club. He was telling me about it and everything. I was like, okay, cool. You know, he's like, she's off limits at this particular point in time. I get to the house and the sexual tension was already there. Like, when I tell you that I could sense stuff, even when I was lost, that's the truth. It was already in me. And I was sitting down there. When I came in, she seen me, I seen her. And when I looked out, I was like, oh no, there's trouble. So I sat down and she came in there. And she was in the back room, but she kept on walking by. And another partner of ours in there named Craig. It was Craig, and I think it was one other person. Craig peeped what was going on, but Craig was on that liquor. So, you know, that liquor lets you see stuff that you probably normally wouldn't see. But he didn't really say nothing, but he was peeping game. And I wasn't trying to cause him animosity because it's my boy or whatever. The chick comes in the living room and sits next to me. And she's putting her shoes and everything on. She got on this dress or something that's short. And she is rubbing oil and lotion or whatever on her legs. And I'm sitting there like, come on. And then I have a piece of lint. You know, I come in there, used to call me Rico Suave. Because the way I used to dress and everything. You know, I was just fresh like that. And she comes to sit next to me. She's doing this and knocking out like tail. And there's a piece of small lint that's on my pants. And she picks it off so subtly. And said, oh, that was bothering me so much. So I just sat there and just played crazy. Like, whatever. I'm looking around like, did anybody see that? I look over and Craig sees it. He watching the whole time. So we get to the club and everything. You know, they doing their thing. I meet up with our other partner, Jonathan. I didn't know he was going to be there. And Kelvin, he in there dancing with all type of females. And this other chick that was in there he was talking to, he was knocking out at the same time. But he telling her that, you know, I'm talking to you and everything, but I know how the game goes or whatever. So that ain't my place to say that. That goes against the bro code back then. Now I don't get down with all that bull job. But one of the chicks he in there talking to, she's in the club too. So he ended up dancing with her and everything. So the chick that he came with, she ends up getting mad. Now I'm telling Jonathan the whole situation. And then as I'm telling him the situation through the night, the chick with her friend, she comes closer and closer to me. So I'm looking at Jonathan looking at me, and he like, man, you see this? And we're like, yeah. And she eventually gets all the way over there by us with her homegirl, and she's standing right in front of me. And then Jonathan looking at me, I'm looking at him, he like, oh man. I'm like, oh man, here we go with this bull job. So she's up on me, grinding and everything, dancing, and I'm talking to her ear like, look, you over here, you know, hey, this ain't gonna cause me and my boy to stop being friends. I'm just letting you know. I'm trying to, like, you know what I'm saying, put up on game without telling her all the game. And I'm like, hey, you over here, you want these problems, hey, it ain't gonna go how you think it's gonna go. And she was like, man, F Kelvin, he over here dancing with this chick and that chick, blase, and, you know, I ain't studying him. I'm like, hey, cool, I'm just letting you know. So whatever goes down, it goes down. And I'm gonna tell my boy how it went down, and hey, it is what it is. So Kelvin and Craig, they roll by, and at this time they are, you know, pretty tipsy or whatnot. Kelvin ends up seeing her over there, and he give me the look like, oh, that's how it is. And he looks at her. I'm like, come on, bro, you already know. I throw my hands up like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, it is what it is or whatever, you know. So they end up bouncing. They left without me, didn't even tell me. I think they had got some other chicks or Maybe they just left because they were mad. So I was with Jonathan the whole night. And then even that night, he ended up smashing her. Because she showed up at his house, his apartment, and he was arguing and stuff, blase, blase. And she was like, you were dancing with this chick, blase, blase. He ended up, getting something. So we ended up talking about it. I'm like, told him the situation, what happened. He was like, yeah, I know, man. I didn't know that. Play it like I played it. I'm like, but you acting like you really mad because she was over there dancing with me. I said, I had no control over that, bro. I said, you used that situation to get the booty. I kind of like did you a favor. Even though I didn't really do nothing. I played the situation for what it was because I knew what was going on. So that was 2 times that he ended up, getting it using the situation or whatever because she wanted a serious relationship. And I'm like, the bro ain't really trying to be serious with you. This is at the time where she ain't really talking to him. So I come down to the shop, like I said previously. And this is after the second incident, the whole Waffle House incident. And they're down there and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm cool, but everybody got to play their part. I was like, y'all good? We good? Hey, it is what it is. He ended up not talking to her no more after that. I think like maybe a few weeks they stopped talking because I already knew that was going to happen because he had already told me. I know how my boy is. So I think I may have talked to her a little while after that, but I don't know what happened or whatever. It just, we just stopped talking and everything. So I tell you all this, so for those who don't know how the game goes, that ain't the lifestyle you want to be living. Because it leads to a whole bunch of problems. When you're living that unrighteous life, it leads to a whole bunch of problems. And me and my boy, we didn't fall out over that. I knew what type of person he was or what type of person he was starting to become. He was, getting more and more jealous. Like when I was talking to a chick named Brittany that he used to talk to. Brittany was crazy as all out. She was crazy, but she was cool. I did the same thing. I helped him out. Hey man, I don't want to talk to her no more. She crazy. Can you help me? Can you help me get off my back or whatnot? Cause I'm trying to talk to this chick and everything, but she keep on popping up, calling. I got you. So I ended up talking to Brittany, and me and Brittany, we ended up pretty much almost dating. I was over at Brittany's house like every day, and so he was trying to figure out what did I see in her that he didn't see. Because the chick that he thought he wanted to talk to, it didn't work out. So now he's like, dang, he talking to Brittany and they seem serious or whatever. To the point where my own boy, my childhood friend, we used to be friends before we even had bicycles. He ended up sending the chick that I'm talking to flowers to her job. And we knew it was him. He didn't ever admit it, but we knew it was him. And I didn't address it, because I was just a little bit different. But we didn't fall out over none of that stuff. We fell out because I got saved. I got saved. And my mindset, my thinking was just different now. And that's how it goes. And it's sad because my homeboy is still in that lifestyle. Still in that lifestyle. Think he may be married by now, or the woman he was talking to, they were supposed to get married, but I warned him about her. It is what it is. But when you're dealing with these situations, you have things like jealousy that flare up. You have things like lust that flares up because of unrighteousness. That's the point I want to make with all this. Because of unrighteousness. And you have the same thing when you're dealing with what they're doing with DNA manipulation. To them, is lustful for them to do it. It's a flare-up, like a disease. It's bubbling inside of them to do these different things, to accomplish the things that they are trying to accomplish. And so the question we must ask ourselves is this: Why would we want to be a part of this if we have been imputed the righteousness of Christ? So y'all bear with me for those who don't know, how I preach and everything. I tell my stories, I tell the different things that I've been through so that you can relate it to the topic at hand, or you can relate it to your own life, or maybe somebody that hasn't been through those things, they need to hear it so they can make better decisions. Now it goes on and says the recipient was a brain dead patient with signs of kidney dysfunction whose family consented to the experiment before she was due to be taken off of life support, researchers told Reuters. Now, this is why you have to read multiple sources, multiple articles that pretty much say the same thing, because they're each going to give you different details. What you're going to see should shock you. Not in this article, but in a few more articles, we're going to read something about this patient that they're not telling you in this article. For 3 days, interestingly, it's 3 days, the new kidney was attached to her blood vessels and maintained outside her body, giving researchers access to it. Test results of the transplanted kidney's function looked pretty normal, said transplant surgeon Dr. Robert Montgomery, who led the study. The kidney made the amount of urine that you would expect from a transplanted human kidney, he said, and there was no evidence of the vigorous early rejection seen when unmodified pig kidneys are transplanted into non-human primates. So I got them pictures right here. I got a little, picture of the kidney. That's it right there. A genetically engineered pig kidney. Look at this. These are the people you trust? You got what? 1, maybe 2 black folks. She looks black, but I can't tell. These are the people that you're trusting. A whole bunch of wicked Gentiles. And some wicked black folks. I don't care if they were Gentiles, or they was Hebrews, or they was from the lineage of Ham. Wicked people is wicked people. But I definitely don't trust them when America ain't got a good track record with my own people. I'm just being real. That's like, I don't really get upset when a lot of white people don't trust black people. Why should they? Why should we trust each other? I trust you in Christ. But naturally, I don't trust white people. I don't trust black people. But just from that perspective and understanding, why would white people really trust black people when they look at us the way they look at us, and we haven't really given them a reason to trust us? In the same way, they haven't given us a reason to trust them. But there's a whole thing of trust the system, trust the scientists. I go to hell before I do that. And I ain't going to hell. So what did I tell you? I ain't finna trust them. Like, this is who y'all trust? People like this? Like, come on, man. Come on. Like I said, I don't care if he was a black dude or whatever, or a white woman, white dude, black woman, whatever. Come on. But for real? For real. You really think this man care about black folks? Do you really think this man care about white folks? So there you have it right there. The kidney. The recipient's abnormal creatine level, an indicator of poor kidney function, returned to normal after the transplant, Montgomery said. In the United States, nearly 107,000 people are presently waiting for organ transplants, including more than 90,000 awaiting a kidney, according to United Network for Organ Sharing. Wait times for a kidney average 3 to 5 years. How many of these patients need a kidney because their kidneys are bad from what they ate? Alcohol and all these different things. I wonder that. What percentage? Probably 90%. Researchers have been working for decades on the possibility of using animal organs for transplants, but have been stymied over how to prevent immediate rejection by the human body. Montgomery's team theorized that knocking out the pig gene for a carbohydrate that triggers rejection, a sugar molecule or glycan called alpha-gal, would prevent the problem. The genetically altered pig, dubbed GalSafe, was developed by United Therapeutics Corp. Revivicor unit. Where do they get these names from, I wonder? Reviva Corporation. It was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in December 2020 for use as food. What was approved for food? Genetically altered pig. For use as food for people with a meat allergy and as a potential source of human therapeutics. Y'all give me a second. I almost gagged. I think I did. Threw up a little bit. See, that's why I don't eat that pork. I don't eat that pig, man. Oh, we're going to look at the chickens. Like what the Bible tells you, if you can't eat it in faith, don't eat it. Don't eat it. Medical products developed from the pigs will still require specific FDA approval before being used in humans, the agency said. Other researchers are considering whether GalSafe pigs can be sources of everything from heart valves to skin grafts for human patients. The NYU kidney transplant experiment should pave the way for trials in patients with end-stage kidney failure, possibly in the next year or two. They're telling you that, they're already trying it, which they already are, trust me, in this, in the Lord. Said Montgomery, himself a heart transplant recipient. So, he's a beast. If I told you, you just think I'm talking about this man's flesh and the way he looked. This man has a heart transplant. So where did the heart come from? Did it come from an animal? Did it come from another man or woman? I can almost guarantee you that he has a black person's heart in him. How could you say such a thing? Well, go study the black market with the organs and everything. Go study it. The black market in regards to organs is a very, very big industry. And they tell you, if you research it, where majority of these organs come from. So this is nothing that I'm making up. Don't sit here and tell me I know what I'm talking about. You haven't even done the research. Am I saying that there are no white people that have had their organs harvested? Of course, that's not what I'm saying. That's like saying, yeah, there are no babies that come from white people that are aborted, that are used in stem cell research and all these different things. That would be foolish to say that. We know that. But we also know that majority of aborted babies come from black people that they use for these experiments. That's facts. So I can pretty much guarantee this man, he has a hybrid heart in him, or he has the heart of a black man. Either way, he ain't who he presents himself to be. But this is who y'all trust. People in these white coats. Rather they have his skin complexion or somebody else's, like hers. So going back down, the current experiment involved a single transplant and the kidney was left in place for only 3 days. So any further trials are likely to uncover new barriers that will need to be overcome, Montgomery said. Participants will probably be patients with low odds of receiving a human kidney and a poor prognosis on dialysis. For a lot of those people, the mortality rate is as high as it is for some cancers, and we don't think twice about using new drugs. We're going to use these experimental drugs on you. We ain't thinking twice about it because you're going to die anyway. So hey, let's do this on you because you're going to die anyway. Well, we all going to die. So because we're going to die, That means I should let you experiment on me? Then that's the case, then just experiment on me my whole life. Oh, that's right. They have been doing that, experimenting on people their whole lives. And doing new trials in cancer patients when it might give them a couple of months more of life, Montgomery said. But they still gonna open their eyes up in hell. This is sadistic. I'm gonna keep you alive longer so you can enjoy a few more months of life. I'm still not gonna give you the gospel. So you're still gonna die and go to hell. But the research and everything that we're gaining from you, we're gonna use it so some rich person can, in essence, live forever. The researchers work with medical ethicists, legal and religious experts, right, vain religious experts, to vet the concept before asking a family for temporary access to a brain dead patient, Montgomery said. Gene-modified chickens lay medicine. This is from 2019. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh's Roslin Institute have genetically modified chickens to produce human proteins in their eggs. They hope the project will one day lead to life-saving drugs that are much cheaper to make. The team modified the genomes of the chickens so their eggs contain large amounts of high-quality proteins. High-quality what protein, though? Human proteins. So if you're eating human proteins, then what are you eating? Humans. Because it's not supposed to be in the chicken. Just 3 eggs contain a clinically significant dose according to the scientists. Initially, the proteins will be used in research, but laboratory tests have already found they work at least as well as equivalent drugs. So they can take this and they can produce the proteins that when they eat the food, it will act as medicine. That's equivalent to the drugs that people now take. Protein-based therapies such as the cancer treatments, Herceptin and Avastin can be effective where traditional drugs fail, but they are highly expensive. The new research, a collaboration between the Institute and the university's spin-out company, Roslin Technologies, holds out the promise of a far cheaper production process. We meet the medicine makers of tomorrow in a secure facility at the Institute. Dozens of transgenic chickens are kept in rows of spacious pens. Their job is straightforward enough. Lay 300 eggs a year. There are no cockroaches here too. Their purpose is to make more transgenic chicken. These creatures are not clones. New generations of protein producers are made in the conventional biological way. That's supposed to make it better. So, see, we want to read any more. But it just talks about how they're doing these chickens. Right here it says, so far the chickens have been genetically modified to produce 2 types of protein. One, a macrophage CSF, is being developed as a therapy that stimulates damaged tissue to repair themselves. But if you eat protein naturally, it does that. I don't want to have food that has human protein in it. I want animal protein or plant protein and let my body do what it's supposed to do. It says it is being produced in human and pig versions. The other is called interferon alpha 2A. This is a human protein that is native in our bodies. It's expressed as part of our immune system, Dr. Heron says. It has antiviral properties. It's also been found that it has some anti-cancer properties. It's a protein that is used in the clinic today, or has been for quite some time, for treating hepatitis and certain cancers. Oh, Lord. They talk about pretty much they can make veterinary medicine with it, with these eggs and everything. Man, I mean, man, God, how long, Lord? How much longer we got to stay here with this wickedness? This is crazy. Then we go over here, and I just want to read this part. It says, one of the most crucial elements of creating a genetically modified chicken for this purpose is to educate a public still concerned about the risks of eating genetically modified foods. While scientists generally agree that GM foods are safe to consume, many people still oppose their use. I wonder why. So, I'm not going to read all this. Just want to read that part and show you they're making the chickens so they can determine the sex of it. They make it glow because they take the males and they grind them up because they see them as useless. They can't really use them. They don't want to spend the money it takes to grow them to the point of where they can be used for meat. And some people agree with it. Some people disagree with it. You know, it is what it is. I don't really eat chicken nuggets anyway, so I ain't too worried about it like that. But, I mean, the ways they do things can be better. If you can go right here, you see he got food. He talks about the guide RNA and Cas9 enzyme to make these foods that are made with CRISPR technology. And that's what the article is talking about. How CRISPR could save 6 billion chickens from the meat grinder. Each year, billions of day-old male chicks are killed in industrial grinders. CRISPR could change that. So like I said, they take these day-old male chicks and they grind them up in a grinder, and then they make meat out of it, chicken nuggets, and some of these other things. And they're trying to find a way to not do this because they see these day-old male chicks as useless. Hint, 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 hint. How do they see many males, especially black males today, as useless? But we can make some money off of you. So we go over to this article, and it's saying the same thing, but this is what's going to tell us more details. See how surgeons transplanted a pig kidney into a dead person in a groundbreaking operation. The other article didn't say dead person. They said they were brain dead, but they didn't say they were dead. I know, their brain is dead, so they're clinically dead, according to them. But this person was literally dead, not just brain dead. Surgeons at NYU Langone are the first to successfully attach a working pig kidney to a human body in a groundbreaking procedure that could someday save lives for patients in need of organ transplants. Dr. Robert Montgomery, the director of the NYU Langone Transplant Institute, and a surgical team conducted the surgery September 25th with genetically engineered pig kidney. We are in October going into November. They did this in September. And when they released the article, this article is from October 21st. The organ was attached to the blood vessels in the leg of a deceased patient whose body was maintained on a ventilator. This person was literally dead. They weren't just medically brain dead. No, they were dead. They were dead. And they were forcing this person to remain alive by keeping their body breathing just long enough to do this experiment. Because once the body stops breathing, then, you have the decay and everything going on. And then, it starts to speed up. What's their fascination with death? They took a genetically engineered pig kidney and they attached it to the blood vessels in the leg of a dead person. And you wonder why Christ is going to do what he's going to do with the judgment. These are the times that we're living in. And these are the things that you need to be aware of, because a lot of these so-called pastors, they're not telling this stuff in the pulpits. They're not warning their people of these different things. And they're going to be caught off guard, having them to rely on these medicines and all these different abominations, trusting in the system, trusting in the government, instead of truly trusting in the finished work of the Lord Jesus Christ. They have such a fascination with death because they have not overcome death. And so they are doing any and everything to try to defeat death because they know their time is short, just like Satan knows his time is short. We're not afraid of death. We're not going to go out and get transplants from somebody else's body. I don't want the kidney of somebody else because I don't know what's in that person's blood. I don't want to take on their memories. I don't want to take on their thoughts. Life is in the blood. And I told you that story of one of my exes I just talked to. And she had to have a blood transfusion. And she came to me and she was telling me stuff that she was having, telling me stuff like she was having memories of other people that were not her own memories, thoughts that were somebody else's, voices that she had never heard before that she was not familiar with. And it was because she had that blood transfusion. She received somebody else's blood, which means she received what was in their blood. So now, guess what happens? If she has sex with somebody, or kisses somebody, or whatever, smokes a cigarette, smokes weed, whatever, that passes on to that person. Saliva, bodily fluids. Life is in the blood. Blood is water. Now that person takes on a part of what was in her that she got from somebody else, on top of what was in her also. It's like a seed. It takes root. And then it combines with everything else that's in that person too. That's why you talk about sex is literally spirit swapping. Why do you think, even though you're born again, you still have memories of the people you used to sleep with? And sometimes it'll hit you like a storm. Like it's playing back like a movie a bad movie you didn't been in one time. And as real as the day it happened. Why do you think that is? Because those memories are stored in your flesh. Now, obviously, we've been forgiven of those different things, but it's still stored into your flesh as a memory. A living memory, because you are living. The memories are living, and they seem so real because you are living. That's why on Judgment Day, nobody's going to be able to lie and say, I didn't do that. Oh, yeah, play the video right there. Hook their DNA up and then play it. They're going to testify against themselves. That's why the scriptures tell you that everybody's going to give an account rather saved or lost for what they have done in this flesh, in this body. Are we understanding? I got enough sexual memories to deal with for a lifetime that I have to do what? Have to cast down. Casting down every imagination, every thought that exalts itself above Christ, above the gospel, and bringing it into obedience, to subjection. That's when I have thoughts, I hit it with a flood. I hit it with a flood of fire. I burn it up. I do that in my mind and my spirit. When you get to that point right there, that's powerful. Because there was a point in time where I couldn't do that. I couldn't control those thoughts. It's like they kept on playing. I'm trying to stop it, but it just kept on going. Now I can control them through the spirit. Destroy them. Because they're seeds trying to implant themselves. And that's the struggle that we deal with on a daily basis, as the word tells us. So I don't want the things I deal with plus somebody else's stuff in their DNA or whatever. Not like that. If I do, it's because I'm choosing to. Meaning that my brothers and sisters are going through something. Or somebody is going through something. And virtue leaves me. As a woman that had the issue of blood, if I can just touch the hem of his garment. And Christ said that virtue, power left him. Power leaves us when we preach and we do these different things because we're at war. Then we have to eat our fruits and eat our vegetables, eat our food in Christ. To give us more and more strength to endure, which is the word. The knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding of the gospel of the Lord and things in general. So, with that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused with Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared.
Hi.